Now, a lot of people think that it's very difficult to attain right view. It is not so difficult if you look into the suttas. That is also provided you have certain good qualities in you. You have certain what they call, later people call paramis. You have certain strong, good qualities in you. Now, there's one incident in the suttas and in the Vinaya books. The Buddha, after the Buddha was enlightened, he would look for people to teach. And he would look with his psychic eye. And then when he found certain ascetics or certain people who had practiced the jhanas, he would go to them. In fact, after the Buddha was enlightened, the first person he wanted to teach was his meditation teacher. The Buddha had two meditation teachers who taught him the arupa jhanas. One of them was called Alara Kalama. Another one was called Udaka Ramaputta. And because they had attained the arupa jhanas, the Buddha thought of teaching them the Dhamma. So the Buddha had this thought in his mind that his meditation teachers have a very pure mind because of attaining the jhanas. And the Buddha thought that they would understand immediately when he taught them the Dhamma. This is mentioned in the Vinaya books. Unfortunately, his two meditation teachers had passed away. Now, a lot of people don't question, why didn't the Buddha go to the heaven and teach his teacher? His teacher passed away, gone to heaven. Can go to heaven and teach, man. Yeah. If you investigate the suttas, you will find the Buddha says, this flesh body of his can fly as far as the Brahma heavens. It can fly. The lowest one is the four great heavenly kings, Si Tai Kim Kong. And then after that, Thi Kong, Sakadeva Raja. After that, Yamoti. After that, Tusita, Tuswaiti. After that, Imanarati Eti. After that, Paranimita, Asavati Eti. All these 6 heavens in the sensual realm. Then above that is the form realm. And the lowest form realm is Brahma, Maha Brahma. The Buddha's flesh body can fly as far as the Brahma heavens, but not beyond that. The higher heavens are too far away, the flesh body cannot go. So that's why he didn't go and teach his two teachers up in the Arupa Jhana realm. And he taught his, the first disciples he taught were the 5 monks, the 5 Wu Bichu, right? Now if you look into the Vinaya books, the way he taught the 5 monks, he just asked them to sit down. He said, sit down, I will teach you the Dhamma. He asked them to pay attention, and he started with the Dhamma Chakkapavattana Sutta. And then after that, other suttas over a period of a few days. When he came to the Anatta Lakkhana Sutta, all 5 of them became Arahants. Yeah. He never asked them to meditate, Meditate is the groundwork they had already done. Because the Buddha had attained jhana, I'm sure he would have taught his 5 disciples jhana already. So that is why when he spoke the Dhamma to them, they attained arahanthood. If they had not attained any jhana, if he spoke the same Dhamma to them, possibly they only have attained stream entry. Because their mind was pure, rid of the 5 hindrances, the defilements, they attained arahanthood. So after that, the Buddha taught some other people, and then after that, the Buddha taught a group of 1,000 ascetics. 1,000 ascetics who lived by the banks of the river, and they worship fire, and they must have cultivated jhana, because the leader among them was considered an arahant. Probably he had some psychic power, that's why they considered him an arahant. So the Buddha went to them and stayed with them many weeks and showed psychic power to them until they were so impressed. All of them shaved off their head and became his monk disciples. And after they became his monk disciples, the Buddha taught one sutta to them, Adita Pariyaya Sutta, the fire discourse. The Buddha used the fire discourse because these people like fire. They prayed to fire. So when the Buddha taught this discourse, all 1,000 of them attained arahanthood. Then after that, the Buddha brought them to Rajagaha, and King Bimbisara threw a big lunch dana for them and called all the people of Rajagaha to come and see the arahants. So after lunch, the Buddha gave a Dhamma talk, basically on the Four Noble Truths. And after the Dhamma talk, it is said in the Vinaya books that 12 Nahutas, that means something like 120,000 people attain stream entry. 120,000 people attain stream entry, just listening to the Four Noble Truths the first time. You must remember, these people who attain stream entry, they were not doctors, they were not lawyers, they were not professors or engineers or scientists, They're just Lao A-I, Lao A-Po, Lao A-Ma, ordinary people. So, you see from here, it is not that difficult if these people pay attention and they have certain good qualities in them that make them able to understand the Dhamma. So that is one instance. Another one is the Sarakani Sutta. In the Sarakani Sutta in the Sangyutta Nikaya, there was a person called Sarakani Sakin who passed away. And he had been a lay follower of the Buddha for many years. So when he passed away, people came to ask the Buddha, where was Sarakani reborn? And the Buddha said, Sarakani has gone for a good rebirth. He had attained Sotapanna. So when this news spread around, some people were not happy because they said that Sarakani used to drink liquor. It's not stated how much liquor he drank, but it was considered like breaking the 5 precepts when you drink liquor. But I don't think that the Sarakani was a drunkard. We have a lot of Buddhists like to drink a bit of beer once in a while, drink a bit of wine once in a while. So when the news spread around, the people doubted. And some people even said, how can Sarakani be a Sotapanna? He used to drink liquor. If he's a Sotapanna, we are all Sotapanna already. So when this news went back to the Buddha said, why shouldn't Sarakani be a Sotapanna? He has taken refuge in the Buddha Dhamma and Sangha for a long time. In other words, he has learned the Dhamma for a long time. Then the Buddha said something very surprising. The Buddha said, don't talk about Sarakani. The Buddha said, you look at these big trees. If these big trees can understand my words, I preach the Dhamma to them, and if they can understand my words, they also can attain Sotapanna. Why cannot Sarakani become a Sotapanna? So you see, the surprising thing here is the Buddha said, if the trees can understand his words, they would become a Sotapanna. The Buddha did not say, if these trees can learn how to meditate, I teach them meditation, they would become Sotapanna. So this confirms that becoming a Sotapanna is the most important condition, is listening to the Dhamma. Meditation helps, But meditation is not the crucial factor. It's not the most important factor. The most important factor is listening to the Buddha's Dhamma. Now, also in the Vinaya books, it is stated that one of the Buddha's disciples, Devadatta, he wanted to become the leader of the Sangha when the Buddha was old. He asked the Buddha to step down. He said he will take over the Sangha. And the Buddha scolded him in front of the monks. And he was so angry with the Buddha that he planned to kill the Buddha. So he tried various ways to kill the Buddha, and he was not successful. Eventually, he tried another way. There was a prince, Ajatasattu, who had a lot of faith in him. So he asked the prince to provide him with a few soldiers. And he asked the first man to go to a certain forest area where at that time the Buddha was known as Samana Gautama. Samana was an ascetic. Gautama was his surname. So he asked the first person to go to the forest in a certain area and kill Samana Gautama and come back by a certain road. So this man went off. Then after that he called 2 men to wait for this man. So when he comes back by a certain road, to kill this man and come back by another road. Then he asked 4 men to wait to kill these 2 men, and he asked 8 men to kill the 4 and asked 16 to kill the 8. So that eventually it's hard to trace who actually killed the Buddha. So the first person went off. Then he came to where the Buddha was. Then he saw the Buddha sitting there waiting for him. And when he came near the Buddha, he started to tremble. The Buddha has a certain kind of awesomeness. I call it Zhenqi. So he started to tremble and he threw away his weapons and he bowed to the Buddha and asked for forgiveness. He said, I don't really want to kill you, but they asked me to kill you. The Buddha said, never mind, sit down here, I will teach you the Dhamma. Then the Buddha made him sit down and listen to the Dhamma, and it said that he attained stream entry. Then the Buddha told him, you don't go back by that road, 2 men are waiting to kill you. You run another way. So he ran off. Then the 2 men waited until they could not wait, and they came to where the Buddha was. When they came near the Buddha, same thing happened. They started to tremble. So the Buddha also asked them to sit down and spoke the Dhamma to them. The 2 of them also attained stream entry, and the Buddha asked them to go off by another road. 4 of them came, also attained stream entry. 8, 16, all attained stream entry. So you see, it's not that difficult to attain stream entry, provided you have certain qualities. But why is it that some people cannot attain stream entry when they listen to the Dhamma? For various reasons. One was like this man, Ajatasattu. Later, to become the king, he killed his father. He killed his father to become the king. But his father was a good man, a follower of the Buddha. So after he killed his father, his mind was very troubled. Night after night, he could not sleep. So one night, when he could not sleep, he asked his physician to bring him to a holy man. So the physician brought him to the Buddha. Then he asked the Buddha certain questions. This is found in the Samanya Pala Sutta of the Digha Nikaya. So he asked the Buddha certain questions. The Buddha answered his questions, and he was satisfied with the Buddha's answer. Then he left. After he left, the Buddha told his monk disciples, the Buddha said, this man is a foolish man. To become king, he killed his father. If he had not done this foolish deed, tonight I could have taught him the Dhamma and he would have attained stream entry. So you see, a person like Ajatasattu, because his mind was very disturbed, he listened to Dhamma also, Tamalimaso. So there's one type of person. Another type is like Devadatta. Devadatta, he followed the Buddha for so many years, yet was not Arya, which is surprising. But then not really surprising also, because if you have a factory producing certain goods, you don't get 100% success, isn't it? There will be some one of them that does not go up to your quality control, yes or not? So Devadatta was one of those monks who, in spite of hearing the Buddha's teachings, he did not become an Arya, although he attained psychic power. You see, this Devadatta, his conceit, his ego was very big. And when he attained psychic power, some people, their ego become bigger. It's just like some people, they like to chant mantras. When you chant mantras, you get certain power. So their ego becomes bigger. So the same with Devadatta. People with a big ego, when they listen, they cannot really accept the teacher's words. A lot of pupils are like that. They say they want to follow a teacher, but when the teacher teaches them, they think they're smarter than the teacher. They know already, so they won't really pay attention. When you don't pay attention, you don't have yoniso manasikara, so you cannot understand really. So there are people like this. Other people, their minds are very scattered for various reasons. Because of greed, because of being very worldly, because of not really being interested in the Dhamma. Some people, they come to the temple, they are willing to do dana, make offerings. You ask them to listen to the Dhamma, no time. Ask them to pay kaya, no time. Keeping the precepts. So, such people. So just now I mentioned about the Buddha asking us to rely on ourselves and rely on the Dhamma as our only refuge. Also, when the Buddha was about to pass away, Rebel Ananda asked the Buddha, Bhagavan, after you have gone, whom should we follow as our teacher? And the Buddha said, after I am gone, take the Dhamma and the Vinaya as your teacher. The Dhamma refers to the suttas, because in the Anguttara Nikaya 4.180, the Buddha said, if any monk says that such and such is the Buddha's teachings, the Buddha said, don't accept and don't reject. Compare what he says with the earlier suttas, the Buddha's words in the suttas. If it follows the suttas, you can take it to be the Buddha's words. If it does not follow the suttas, then the Buddha said, reject it. It is not the Buddha's teachings. So when the Buddha says, take the Dhamma Vinaya as your teacher after I am gone, the Dhamma refers to the suttas. The Vinaya is not for lay people. The Vinaya is for monks and nuns. So for lay people, your real teacher is the suttas. Also, the Buddha warned in the Anguttara Nikaya 5.88 that the Buddha says, in the future, you can have a world-famous teacher who has a lot of disciples, a big following of monk and nun disciples and lay disciples. And he might be a very senior monk, been a monk for many long years. And he might also be quite learned in the scriptures. In spite of all these facts, the Buddha said, even such a world-famous monk can have a wrong view. Don't think that just because a monk is famous, that everything he says is true. So, when we are new to the Dhamma, we always like to follow famous teachers. And we think that everything he says is the truth, the absolute truth. But the Buddha says, no, compare with the suttas. And nowadays when you compare with the suttas, you find a lot of teachers are not teaching according to the suttas. They are teaching according to the commentaries, they are teaching according to the Abhidhamma, they are teaching according to later sutras and all that. And other books like Visuddhimagga and all that. It's not that these books are no good. These books are also have some benefit, but you can be led astray. When there's a bit of wrong teaching in it, it spoils the whole thing. Just like when you're drinking, you're trying to eat a nice plate of rice or soup or anything. I just take a little bit of shit and put inside. You still want to eat? Even a little bit also you don't want anymore. So spoils the whole thing. So you have to be very careful. So I think that's enough to say tonight about the right view. And I welcome some discussion from the floor.
You're thinking about killing animals for food. So now we realize that we are right livelihood. So we are here now, we should know that we will choose the livelihood of the nature, something like that. So it's like, it's not fair for those who are ignorant to have this kind of livelihood to kill. So if eventually nobody kills for food, then the animals will multiply like what you said. So it's like, I don't know where it goes.
Our livelihood has very much to do with our past life karma. What we do in this life, or what we are inclined to do in this life, has very much to do with our character. So once I was staying in Penang Hill. I was staying in a cave. So one butcher, he was one of some people who came to visit me. And some people told me that he's a butcher. So I tried to discourage him from his job. But he wouldn't change. On the other hand, there was another time when I gave a Dhamma talk in the Penang Buddhist Association. And after the talk, one lady came to me and told me, after she heard my talk, she's quite frightened because she says she sells chicken rice, and she has to slaughter the chicken. So I asked her, why don't you buy from the freezer, the cold meat already slaughtered one? She said if she sell that one, nobody want to eat. They prefer freshly killed chicken. But so I told her, you still have that karma. I said the best is to try to change your livelihood. And after something like 6 months, she came and told me that she changed her livelihood already. So you see, some people, after listening, they are willing to change even though it's difficult. But there's some people are not willing to change, so it's very difficult.
We have a last question for the last one.
Yes, sir. If let's say we stream and go through a 7 months, is it possible that we take rebirth in the next lifetime and we forgot about what happened and
Okay, once a person becomes an Arya, it is not reversible. He will not revert to an ordinary worldling. But if a person has become a Sotapanna, because once a person attains stream entry, the Buddha says after some time it must turn to fruit. The latest is by the time of his death. and he's dying, it must ripen to fruit. So in other words, after he dies, he's a Sotapanna already. Now when he comes back as a human being, he would have forgotten. But even though he has forgotten, something will lead him to walk and look for this spiritual path again. Something will make him search, and he will come back to this spiritual path again. So, like before he finds back the spiritual path, he might do some careless deeds, but not serious enough to bring him to a woeful plane of existence. Just like the Buddha, our Buddha, Sakyamuni Buddha, if you investigate the suttas, he says that he looked into the past for a long time. There was one night, I believe he did not sleep. From 6 p.m. until 6 a.m. He was meditating and contemplating the past. And he looked back 91 world cycles. One world cycle is an extremely long time. The Buddha said, hard to imagine how long it is. So the Buddha looked through 91 world cycles. He found only 6 Sammasambuddhas. 6 Buddhas willing to teach the Dhamma to the world. In other words, 99.99% of Buddhas are Pacceka Buddhas who refuse to teach. In fact, when our Buddha, Sakyamuni Buddha, was enlightened, he also decided not to teach. But this Brahma Sahampati came to appeal to him 3 times. Then he looked again. Then he found there are some beings who will benefit from the Dhamma. So he decided to teach. So, what was your question again? I forgot about forgetting. Yeah, Sotapanna. So, this Sotapanna. So, why did I mention this Sakyamuni Buddha? Night is getting late, I'm getting tired. Coming back to this Sotapanna. So, Sotapanna, I wanted to say that our Buddha, Sakyamuni Buddha, when he came back as Siddhartha Gautama, I believe that he was a Sakadagamin. Because when he looked into the past, he said that he met one Sammasambuddha. When the last Sammasambuddha came, Kassapa Buddha, our Buddha was born as a Brahmin called Jyotipala. And in that lifetime, his friend brought him to see the Buddha. At first he did not want to pay respect to the Buddha, but his friend pleaded with the Buddha to teach him some Dhamma. So when the Buddha taught this Brahmin Jyotipala some Dhamma, he was so taken up that a few days later he became a monk. So that being the case, you can see that he must have attained stream entry when he listened to the Dhamma of the Buddha Kassapa. So after he became a monk, he practiced and he attained at least the first jhana. Because when he came back as Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha said as a small boy he could enter the first jhana under the Jambu tree, right? So this first jhana he must have practiced, must got it during the life as a monk under the Buddha Kassapa. So if he had already attained stream entry, and on top of that, if he had attained the first jhana, he would have reduced his greed, hatred and delusion and so become a Sakadagamin, second fruit person. And in the suttas, the Buddha says, a Sakadagamin is called a once returner, meaning that he will come back, return as a human being one more time before he enters Nibbana. He will come back as a human being and must enter Nibbana. So when our Buddha came back as Siddhartha Gautama, he forgot about his past already. But something makes him search. Something makes him, at the age of 29, renounce his family. This is not like the later books say, the story, the legend is that our Buddha, in the middle of the night, he took a last look at his wife and his son and ran away in the middle of the night. In the suttas, it is stated that in the daytime, in front of his mother and father were crying and wailing and pleading with him not to go off. In front of them, he cut off his hair, put on the yellow robe and walked away for good. So why can a person do like that? If he is not a Sakadagamin, there's no explanation why we got Chi Sin Xiao Liao. The only explanation is that he is already a Sakadagamin. He must go this way. He doesn't really understand why, also because he's forgotten his past. But he knows that he must go this way. We actually, all of us, we have an inner voice telling us to walk the spiritual path. In Hinduism, it's called your Adi Guru, your primary Guru. It's inside of you. But a lot of us, we don't want to listen to the voice inside. We are caught by all the material things in the world. So, like for him, he listens to his inner voice. Difficult to do. The wife is so beautiful, the son just born, the family is rich. Why should he give up everything to become a beggar? Some more naked beggar. For many years he was practicing naked asceticism. Suffer so much for 6 years. All for what? It's only something inside from the past. Even though he has forgotten, he must go back to this path. So it's not reversible, don't worry.
We like to thank Bhante for a very wonderful Dhamma talk, and Bhante also very humorous in certain way of his Dhamma talk. So let us, all of us, say sadhu together 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Bhante, I'm not asking you a question, but can I have a request that is it possible, Bhante, that you stay another day and give us the Dhamma talk again tomorrow night?
Okay, try.
So we will keep you informed.